Hello, everybody. It's Marc and
Hi.
Devi again. And the topic of tonight's conversation is actually extremely topical. Going direct or calling out. Going direct being the Scottish methodology, calling out open due to fraud. Let's have that debate. Now, just to clarify, if anybody wonders why we had a different slide from the beginning to the end, it's all about what we're doing today is all about working in churches. So I thought, let's leave it since we're not doing religion anymore. This is more about how mediums work, but there is an overlap, obviously, because spiritual mediumship, religion. That's my excuse. I just forgot to put the slide.
Yeah. No, he was just too lazy to do it. That changed it.
Now, since she's criticising me, let me take control again and let's get into the news before anything other gets in the way.
News.
I haven't told her yet, but I'm going to make her the newscaster. Less work for me, but I'll do it this week. And so, folks, tune in on Sunday if you want to see Devi really working for a change.
Okay, I can read the news. I'm good at that.
Okay, off you go then, Devi.
Well, I don't know the news. So go for it.
I mean, the set is going to work, and what happened?
Oh, let's see. It's cold outside. How's that? That's news.
Well, it's snowing here this morning. How does that compare?
It was what?
Snowing where I live this morning.
We didn't get snow, but it's still pretty cold.
Okay, so news. We got the first look at Rain, which is the name we're giving to the AI chatbots that will be doing our first interaction with the outside world when we start advertising again in January. And I have to say, both Devi and I were gobsmacked. Gobsmacked. That's a Scottish
expression. Really impressed so far. Yeah.
Basically, it means you verbally slap yourself across the face, or somebody slaps you across the face. You're so shocked at how good it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're taking a few people onto the circle. We've got a few recruits that are going to be manning the phones. So we're basically getting really geared up, and we're going to be advertising fairly heavily at the beginning of January. So, folks, if you're a spiritual and if you're interested in spiritualism, enjoy the holidays because you're going to get inundated with our marketing in January. That's pretty much about it, really. Nothing more to report. So let me get rid of that. So where do we start? Going direct and calling out. Well, let me give you one of my favorite little anecdotes. This is a real story. In case you don't know, I sort of like to do two things during a typical day: run all of this, and I also run my wife's business, which is a medical clinic, a foot clinic for podiatry. I'm the practice manager, which means when every time I advertise for her, there was an advert went out this morning. It's got, you can contact Marc Stuart, the practice manager, for a psychic reading. Kills two birds with one stone. But anyway, cut a long story short. So I get contacted by mediums to find out if I can promote them, etc. About 4 or 5 months ago, I got a contact from a medium from Dunfermline. That's the ancient capital of Scotland, just across the Forth Road Bridge. She was going to be doing a stage event, and could I promote her locally, since I'm also involved in a proto church that we're trying to get set up in the town. The town's called Pennycook. Okay, contacted her and asked her one question before I would agree to promote her. Do you call out or do you go direct? And she came back and said, I can go direct, but I prefer to call out. Does it matter? To which my reply was, of course it does. Only real mediums go direct. And I never heard back from her. I did ask her one other question. I said, you come from Dunfermline? Yes. Which of the two spiritualist churches in one town, which of the two spiritualist churches based in Dunfermline are you associated with? And she gave me the name of the one that I wasn't associated with. The one that I was associated with was the Dunfermline Spiritualist Church, which is 105 years old. But there you go, promotion for a church aside.
Nice.
But the big difference between the two of them is Dunfermline is like all the Scottish churches, we call out. The other spiritualist church, which I'm not going to mention in case they're watching and they decide to sue me, does not call out. Sorry, does not go direct. They call out. Now, I saw two of their mediums actually working, and we were sitting having our usual tea and coffee before I left. And they said, "What did you think of our mediumship?" And I told them bluntly, "I don't think you're mediums." I said, "If you were on stage and I saw you, I would call you fraudulent. I'll give you the respect of saying you're mediums, that this is a church. Obviously, you were connecting to spirit, but both of you should be going back to circle." So there's the good introduction. Yes.
That may be a good introduction, but many of our viewers here probably have no idea what it means to go direct or to call out. So why don't you define that?
Okay. So if I'm standing in a church or if I'm standing on a stage, this is working with an audience. This is not private readings. Calling out, I would say something like, I have a spirit. It's a man, grey hair, wearing glasses, and he coughed a lot. Can anybody recognize that spirit?
Oh, goodness. I know about 4 or 5 of those people.
And that's just one person. I once saw a medium in an English church, Torquay, very well-established spiritualist church. Medium, totally arrogant, total idiot, stands up and he hands out his business. He says, "Here's my bit." He handed his business card out to everybody, which you don't do in a church. You just don't do that in a church. Anyway, hands his business card out to everybody before he goes up to do the platform, and he calls out. He had 7 people with their hands up. He would give another bit of evidence. 3 hands go down, and another 2 hands go up. This went on for 10 minutes. Hands up, hands down, hands up, hands down. And this guy actually said, "It's such a pity that there are so few good mediums left in this country."
He said that.
He said that. My wife and I, he didn't know I was a medium. He had no idea who I was. And my wife and I were sitting there trying to keep straight. I'm going to swear, and I shouldn't swear on a Facebook broadcast, but straight Fucking. And you know how bad a word that is in my country.
Oh yeah.
I know it's not so bad in America, but I am not in America. I won't say it. I'll spell it. Fucking. Bad mediumship that was. So that's calling out. Going direct. Now, this is not reading, people. I am not giving Devi a reading, but I would be standing on stage or the pulpit and I would say, "Can I come to the bald woman, the tiny woman with the big black glasses sitting in the middle of the front row?"
Yes.
She says, "Yes." "Can I work with you?" "Yes."
Yes.
"I've got a man, grey hair, glasses. I think, not 100% sure, but I think he died of a heart attack or something very sudden. Certainly something with convulsions in the chest. And he's got an obsession with his black shoes." Now, he's making it clear that he is not a policeman. He's not in the military, but he was absolutely obsessed with his black shining shoes. Does this match anybody you know?
Actually, yes.
So, people, that's going direct.
And he just made that up, but it does actually match somebody that I know who's in spirit. So, yeah. He thinks he's not connected, but he really is.
Well, we do have a circle at the end of this, Debbie, and just while we're talking about that, folks, if there's anybody out there that would actually like to come to the circle, let us know. Send us a message. Just type a message, "You want to come," and we shall give you the Zoom link. And if anybody would actually like a reading, Debbie is probably right. I am probably connected without realizing it because I was souping myself up for the circle. We will do readings, but you have to come online with us. Yes. We have to literally see you to give you the reading. None of this typing away and, "Oh, I've got a spirit," and 3 people are going, "Yay!" or somebody comes forward and you don't see that, "No, I don't understand." The medium just keeps blubbering on, trying to convince the world that they know what they're doing. Yes. And that's not a criticism of amateurs on Facebook. It's just a statement that a lot of people on Facebook are amateurs. Am I being too aggressive again?
Probably, yes. Of course, there are a lot of amateurs everywhere in every trade known to man. But I was going to say, what I wanted to say about going out and calling out and going direct is I had only ever seen mediums calling out. Because in America, that's what most mediums do. And that's all I'd ever seen. And so I thought, and I assumed that all mediums were frauds, even though I was speaking to spirits myself. I didn't believe anybody could do it for you until I met Mark.
Devi, Devi, you know how much I like blowing my own trumpet, but I'm going to leave this to you. You were with me. What was the name of the church? Trinity?
I don't remember. I'm bad.
I apologize to the church. I can't remember the name. I was going to show a video of me actually working in the church, which you can find on our YouTube channel, but I couldn't get it working in time. But Devi, just give a brief description of what my style of working direct is.
Okay, basically he'll get up on stage and he will say, I've got, he will look at the woman in the front row and say, can I come to you? And she will say yes. And then he will list off a bunch of characteristics of the spirit that he has. The sitter will say yes, no, maybe. Usually it's yes, yes, yes. When that spirit has been confirmed, then Mark will get a message from that spirit. And then as soon as that's over, he will move on to the next person sitting right next to them.
Yeah, basically, I just find it easier to work along the row, next row, next row. I don't do 1, 2, 3 rows. I'll move the rows around, but I just find it easier to work 1 to 5 or backwards and forwards. The key point being, every single one of them, I'm going direct. I've got the spirits waiting for me because they know how I work. Now that all comes down to training and experience, which we teach in the circles. But I leave that church with people, I've already used the expression, gobsmacked, because they haven't seen anything like it before. In that church, I took 3 mediums, gave them 10 minutes of very quick training, and then they came up on stage with me and they were each giving 3 or 4 messages. Usually, they had all confirmed that usually when they were like working in the church themselves, they would give 3 messages maximum for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I was working plus them working for an hour. How many people were there?
There were about 30.
Yeah. So between us, I did about 20, and the 3 of them, between them, did about 10. So the 3 of them did more messages together than each. They did more messages with me in the short time period that they were working with me than they did individually when they did a whole service themselves.
Yes.
Again, that's the Scottish methodology. You go direct and you work for about 45 minutes to an hour. Now, the other thing that you're probably sitting here watching us saying, I don't go direct. Okay, fine. Get to circle. I don't go direct because, wait for it, I don't do stage work or church work. So what's the point in learning how to go direct? Well, Devi, you said it yourself. You thought you were speaking with spirit, and you thought the majority of mediums were frauds.
Yes, I did.
They were working.
Because they were calling out, and when you called out, there's at least 5 people in the audience whose hands go up. And narrowing it down is ridiculous. And I can almost, sitting at home watching it on TV, I can almost agree. My hand's going up too.
So if you went to a church or a stage event and you saw a medium trained by me and yourself doing, let's say in an hour, or I don't know, 40 readings. Now each reading is short, highly accurate, because also a part of this is we teach you not to give a generic, what I call it's a topic for another video, but you don't do generic readings. You do specific evidential readings. Like, for example, gave one about a year ago. Church I'd worked in for the first time. Man, okay, all the evidence about the spirit, fine. You drove to the church today? Yes. That's nothing major evidential about that. You've got a piece of paper on the passenger seat. I think it's an invoice. Does that make sense? Yes. Is it for the car repair? Yes. Take it back to the garage. and get them to look, because there's something not right either with the work or what they've charged you for. Not 100% sure, and I'm just working fast, but anyway, he did, and there was. So that's the kind of readings that you're giving as well. Highly evidential, and again, credible.
And very specific.
Yeah.
Not
exactly.
not just your mother loves you.
Well, that's what I mean by generic reading.
Mm-hmm.
So well done, Devi. That's a nice definition. So anyway, coming back to doing the private readings, there's two things about it. When you do stage work or church work like that, 30, 40, 50 people see you work. What are they going to do after they've only had a wee 5-minute reading maximum from you? How many people would you think are going to come back to you for private readings?
Oh,
not everybody, but a lot of them. And from the private readings, what's the advantage of going direct? Well, very simple. How many times have you, anybody watching this, how many times have you gone to see a medium and they sit, and I'm play acting, but they sit like this. I'm trying to connect. Yeah. Oh, I've got a spirit for you. Okay, and let's just say they do give you the credible evidence. Blah 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 blah. Okay, fine, and then silence. Let me try again. I gave a private reading yesterday, lasted for an hour, and it was non-stop. First medium, bang, bang, bang. Okay, it took about 10 minutes. It was an elderly 82-year-old woman, and she kept saying that could be. She wasn't 100% convinced, so I just kept giving the evidence. I normally wouldn't give as much evidence per reading that I would do, but wanted to make sure she was absolutely happy. It was her father. Okay, so the father talked, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Then her father started talking about the garden, okay? And there was a rose bush. Now, I gave a very specific, no idea who this woman was, never been to her house. She'd come to me, I gave a very specific description of her garden, a very specific placement of a single rose bush in the garden. Yeah. Now, it turned out that this rose bush had been planted in memorial for the second spirit who was coming forward.
Ooh.
So then gave evidence of the second spirit, and then gave a really, I'm not going to repeat it for this in case she's watching, it's very private, but a really, when we're not talking about, we're literally not talking about Bill, we're talking about she's doing something for somebody else that's affecting her health and is effectively, is going to wear, remember this is an 82-year-old woman, and it's going to wear her down to the point that it's going to shorten her life. And very specific instructions from both these spirits on what she's to do about it to get herself out of it, to get another relation of herself, to take responsibility for what she's doing. So anyway, put that aside. Getting back to my point about what's the point of learning the methodology of going direct, I didn't have to sit there and call out and wait and beg. The spirits were coming forward, bang, I was able to connect directly, and that's a direct follow-on from coming to my circle and learning how to do that in a circle. Apart from the fact it's a good way of demonstrating what you can do, when you do private readings, it's bang, 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 and you don't need the theatricals to hide the fact that you've got no connection.
Right. No, it's so much easier. I can't even imagine calling out. I don't even know how I would do that, to be honest.
Yeah. It might actually be worthwhile getting some of our students to come to a circle and actually get them to call out for one night.
No, that would be funny. Yes. I think we've done that once before. A while back, we tried that, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it was so funny. I don't know if I've got the video of it somewhere, because we do record the circles.
Yes, but I'm sure it's somewhere.
Put that aside. So, we've got somebody watching us. Would you like a reading? If so, type in the chat, let us know. So what else can you say? What else can you say about, they've run away when I said, would you like a reading?
Oh, no. Scaring people off again.
Absolutely. What else? What nasty things can I say about calling out? Well,
it looks very fraudulent from the outside looking in. And that's why so many people are skeptical of mediums, especially in the United States.
Well, I was actually going to use another word. Now, everybody, let me let you all into a very, very big secret. In case you haven't worked this out from my accent, I'm Scottish.
Oh, really? I had no idea, Mark.
And that's the way we do it in Scotland. We go direct. Now, England has a big problem. And if there's anybody here watching from the is it the SN, Scottish National, Spiritual National, SNA? I always get the initials wrong. I'm dyslexic. But there's an organization in England that basically is behind most of the English spiritualist churches. And they've got a big training center down south where you can go and do residential courses. It used to be, and I say used to be, that all the training they did was calling out. They now teach direct and calling out, so they've kind of learned their lesson. There's a wee story about two mediums from Scotland that were very good, very credible, worked in lots of churches, and they both decided to go down to this training organization and learn, get some certification and all the rest of it. They came back and they started calling out. Those two mediums disappeared so fast you couldn't blink, because the Scottish churches just literally very quickly word got around, these guys are just calling out, and the doors were shut. They were never invited back to the churches again. Bookings that they thought they had suddenly started disappearing.
Yep.
So the word I was going to use, here's a big word for you. It's Gaelic, Sassenach.
Sassenach.
Now, what it means is outsider, but what it's used for is the Scottish description of the English.
Yes.
So it's an insult. It's about the worst insult we can give to somebody. So basically, in America, yes, they call out, but I'll let them off though, because they don't have any real training, any real sort of national organization of any scale to teach them. They do have spiritualist churches, but that's the subject of another video, what they do wrong in those churches. But the English churches, which I have worked in, and there are mediums in England that go direct. So this is a very high level description. Okay. But in England, the standard is usually to call out.
So then Scotland's actually just a small part of Britain. So if only most of Britain calls out and only a small part of it goes direct, then you all are the outsiders.
We are, but that's like describing Jesus as an outsider to Christianity, is it not?
Well, he wasn't Christian.
I am not putting us on the level of Jesus if you're a Christian. I'm just making a very sarcastic remark that Jesus started out as a Jew because he was Judean, and he founded Christianity, and one became 12 disciples. The 12 disciples went out, and each of those converted God knows how many people. So, yes, maybe more Scots people should be going out into the world and showing it how it is really done.
Perhaps it should be done. Because now I don't think all mediums are frauds anymore, because I am one.
Yeah. Let me rephrase it. Not all mediums are frauds, but the vast majority, and we're talking colossal scale if you include America. You just have to look at the number of people on Facebook. They're not fraudulent. They just simply don't know any better because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
and that makes them look fraudulent. That's the problem.
Yeah, and
it's not that they are. It's just that it makes them look that way.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll be blunt. I am probably the most credible. I'm trying not to blow my own trumpet. But when I'm in America, my credibility goes through the roof. I mean, for example, look at that radio interview. Here's an example. We've put a web page up, contacted some churches that booked me, put some stuff on Facebook. Out of nowhere, we get contacted by a specialized radio station for mediums. Oh, you're Scottish. You're coming to America. Can I interview you? Now, you can hear that. You can listen to that online. You can find it on our website. Let me just put that page up. Yeah, go to that page, folks, and you can listen to the radio interview. And that came out of nowhere. And again, I'm having to explain to this radio station who interviews a medium every day most of them obviously from England or from America.
Mm-hmm.
What's different about Scottish mediumship going direct? I mean, there's a lot more to it than going direct. It's more just than that. There's a lot more to it than that.
Oh, yeah.
But that is the biggest fundamental difference in the churches. I mean, it doesn't matter. Actually, yeah, there is a direct correlation between this. It doesn't matter where you are in Scotland, which town you're in. You stop somebody on the high street and ask them where the spiritualist church is. I guarantee that if you ask 2 or 3 people, at least one of those 3 people will know where the church is, and probably, maybe not be a member, but probably at some point in their life gone to that church to see what it was like. Now, there are churches in England, but not to the same penetration per capita as we've got in Scotland. And I think the reason for that is because of the reputation of mediums, because we go direct. Whereas if you go in England, Whereas if you go in England, yes, there are a lot of churches, but you don't get the mediums, at least not the majority of the mediums, going direct. So you're open to you're a fraud accusation.
And the skepticism goes sky high again. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, folks. So back to business. If you are watching us and you are curious about coming back again, that's our newsletter. Now, we send it out once a month. We do 2 of these talks a week, and they're all live. And if you get the newsletter at the beginning of the month, that will give you the dates and the subjects of each of the talk. Yes, we have a different subject each talk. Can't remember what we're doing next one, but if you go into Facebook and do a search for Marc Stuart Medium, go to events, you'll find them obviously linked there. We're doing a series of calling out, going direct, things about the way mediums work for the next 4 talks. Then the next 5 we've got planned after that are specific training methodologies. Okay, that's talking about ourselves, but given what we've just been talking about, and given what we'll be talking about in the next few talks, I hope you're going to get some idea as to, come and find out why. I don't know where you're watching this. If you're watching it on YouTube, or if you're watching it on one of our 6 Facebook pages, or in our profiles, please follow or register
or like or follow or hit subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah. The more people that watch them, the more people that follow us, the more people that subscribe, helps us build the brand, helps us get out there, helps us spread the spiritualist religion. Oh
dear. That's not why I'm doing this. Just y'all. Maybe why he's doing it, but not why I'm doing it.
Now, it's too late for you to register to come to the circle, and we are just about to pop off because in about 2 or 3 minutes, we've got a nice group of people waiting for us to learn how to go direct. So it's been a pleasure, and I shall... Oh, hold on. Somebody called Cassie said Devi is the best.
Oh, thank you, Cassie. I appreciate that. I love you, darling. Mwah.
So do I, but I'm married. Don't tell my wife.
So she. It's okay. And so am I. So, hey, whatever works, right?
Okay, folks. So it's been a pleasure. We'll be back on Sunday at the same time. That's 10:30 UK, Debbie?
Which is 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central, 3:30 Mountain, and 2:30 Pacific.
So, been a pleasure. We've got a circle to go to. Farewell and happy nights.
We will see you all on Sunday.